106 of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Holland.
I'm Jeff Mayo.
Good show. All right. Thank you. Come back next week. I'm really excited to talk about video games with you, Jeff. It's been a little bit. I think we missed another week. Unfortunately, responsibilities are rough. And just fair warning to the listener, this is probably going to be a decently angry podcast. There's just a lot of bad things going on in the world, and for some reason they involve video games when they shouldn't.
Yeah.
So we are going to be talking a little bit about the whole video games and violence thing and the Epic Games Store. There's going to be some just troubling Jeff and Darby kind of getting at their wits end about certain topics. But we also have some fun things. So, it can balanced as all things should be. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good, Darby. Pretty good.
What you been doing mostly? Working. But aside from working, what have you been doing mostly?
I've been playing a little game, Darby. A little game called Fire Emblem Three Houses, you know?
Never heard of it.
Nope, never.
Nope. I think that's some weeb game.
It's true.
I as well have been playing a bunch of Fire Emblem Three Houses. Jeff is a good bit further than me. How many hours?
About 40. I'm in chapter 10.
Nice. I think I'm 30, maybe closer to 35. I'm something like that, and I think I'm chapter 7, I think is what I am. It's 7 or 8. So Jeff is several chapters ahead of me. But I think both of us were it sounds like Jeff is about to get to some of the big story turns.
Yeah.
But I'm still definitely in the first part of this, which it is kind of funny that 35 hours in, it's still part 1, such and such and such. And I'm well, we're in for a long ride. But it's always a good feeling when you know that this game is insanely long and you are completely there for it and happy that it's going to be that long, because so far for me, this has certainly been living up to the hype, which for me and you was very high.
It was.
Yeah.
We were higher than most people.
Yeah, for some reason.
Throughout the marketing cycle for this game.
Me and you get to do all the "we told you so" thing.
Yeah, all you crazy people. God,
we're not hyped for this game. Yeah, I don't understand it, because I like we were kind of saying last time. I think it's even more so now that I'm kind of in the flow of the Persona-esque, gonna do this day, this that day, and keeping track of all the different stats. It's a lot to keep up with, but once you get in the flow of it, it makes I think this is the best paced Fire Emblem game.
Yeah,
there is. I definitely, in some past Fire Emblem games, because it was mostly just battle, there were definitely times I'm loving this, but I have to take a break because it just got too monotonous with the same thing. But I don't really feel that with this, because I feel like I get my break in the monastery, because it's basically a very different type of game.
Yeah, you go around, talk to people, figure out how in the world you're going to get people's stats up, and who you're going to talk to and all that.
Who you going to eat lunch with today.
Yep.
That's very important. Very important stuff. Way more important than battling.
Yeah.
But it is cool though how all this stuff really does tie into it. I mean, it's cool just world building. It's cool to just spend your time and kind of almost like a sim game. But that stuff could be very hollow, but it's not in this game. All of it is going towards certain goals, and you have almost a crippling amount of freedom. But once you get the hang of it, it's nice. But you can just how you can make any character study anything, so you can really completely customize their classes. But that also means that you're going to spend a lot of time in the looking at them and looking at the classes that are coming ahead and being all right, what do I want them to do now, and what do I want them to do later?
The game gives you a general idea just based on what the characters already know, and all that stuff, as far as where's probably the best class you should take them. For the most part, there's probably not too much you can do to take them off the path and it being good.
Yeah. There's it's more things I have this axe person. Are they going to be a heavy armor axe person, or are they going to be a flying wyvern axe person? There's it's kind of guided within lance, bow, whatever. But then once you go down that first few steps, then it's okay, now you can branch out.
Yeah, it's something I'm forgetting about is the thing of Fire. And each character, when you level up, you got to random stats get up.
Mm-hmm.
There's for each stat, depending on which character, there's a certain chance that stat will go up when you level up. So like a mage might have like a 40% chance of getting magic up, but like 10% to get defense up and stuff like that. So even just the character being the character, just based on what the developers decided for the level up system, you can't do too much with them. And
so could you just by chance your mage just always gets defense and doesn't get magic, so you just end up with this like really beefy mage that can't hit anyone?
Pretty much. So yeah, it's really hard just based on that to make someone who's at least starting out as a mage into a warrior.
Right, like I guess like technically you can completely take them off track, but it's not going to be the best results. You kind of have to stay in your lane.
Yeah, even in classes later on, there are like the master class, and you can look at them pretty early and see. Yeah, that's a variation. I think there's like the Dark Knight, which you can use regular magic, dark magic, and
horse,
then horse and lance and stuff.
Yeah, and then there's just full magic, just like black and white. Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, a lot of it is like, do you want to focus in on these skills, or do you want to also give them the horse for mobility? And like I'm kind of doing like one with just focusing and one with the mobility.
And the interesting thing about it that will definitely be something that most people will get into, I'm sure, as you get farther into the game, people I'm sure already have, because in this game you're able to reclass people at any time as long as they unlock the class. So what could be smart to do, especially since most of the master classes involve horses or Pegasi or whatever, like a mount pretty much.
Is it Pegasi?
I don't know, man.
I don't know what it is, but Pegasus also sounds dumb. They both sound kind of dumb. But anyway.
Yeah. But so obviously the mounts have their strengths and weaknesses. So with the whole reclassing thing, you can have their advanced class. So I'll use my mage, as we were just talking about it, as an example. I'm gonna make him whatever the advanced mage version is. I can't remember the exact name of it. I'll talk in my head. And the Dark Knight thing, you could switch between them depending. It's like, okay, is there a lot of terrain on this that will hurt, a mount,
right?
Or do I see a bunch of these people have a bunch of stuff that will hurt the horse? Or a better example is the Dragon Knight, which the dragons are weak against magic and bows. Yeah. So if you see the enemy has a whole bunch of those, you should probably pick the class that you already have unlocked that he's on foot.
Yeah, I haven't even really thought about that. And that is very different from other Fire Emblems. Like, that's never been a thing you could do, for sure.
Because a lot of it, for people who don't know, in other Fire Emblem games, when you use a seal, you get the new class, you can't really switch back and forth, and you start back at level 1. In this game, you keep your characters keep their level throughout the whole game, and you can, like I said, you can switch classes.
Yeah, and it's like it's independent from the levels. The levels are
some characters I'm planning on doing where I unlock a mount class and then there's a regular class, just because they work in both really well. Just
switch back and forth.
Yeah, switch depending on the situation.
Yeah. So you have to have enough seals to be getting everyone unlocked and all that stuff.
I mean, there won't. Pro tip, Darby, because you're about to get to that point where you'll be unlocking advanced seals. At the beginning of each month in the shop, you can buy 3 of them.
Yeah.
They refill at the start of the next month.
Yeah, I know.
So keep on buying them every month to make sure you have enough.
Right, yeah. Okay, I ran out. I didn't have enough intermediate seals to do everyone at one point, so I had to have some guy sit and wait,
So,
but yeah.
Pro tip.
Yeah, I hope I haven't missed a month with that.
You get
I don't think I've unlocked.
Yeah, you get some through other means, but not many. So you want to, with those seals, buy them whenever you can.
Well, definitely for anyone listening to this who's interested in Fire Emblem, I would kind of suggest looking up tips articles and stuff anyway, because Fire Emblem has always kind of had I wouldn't say it's a problem, because part of the fun of this game is figuring things out, but there's definitely just a thing with Fire Emblem of them not telling you things or not making things exceptionally clear. Our friend Alex got to the end of Awakening and never knew never knew that he had to like go get max seals to like put people on their the next class. Like you had to actually get this physical thing. So he was still on the beginner class for everyone at the very end of the game, and he just assumed like, man, I just maxed out so long ago. He's like, so he just assumed.
Yeah, we're talking about, man, Awakening so easy. He's like, really?
Yeah, he was like, Awakening's hard as hell. We're like, are you sure, dude? It's like really, really easy.
Am I dumb?
It's like that's almost, honestly, it's kind of a testament to how easy Awakening is that he made it to the final boss for the beginning classes.
Well, and also it's just something that's not abundantly clear that I discovered that you didn't know about, and you wish you did.
Annoying.
Is you can recruit people from different houses to join your house. And when you talk to them to do recruit, it says, oh, I'm too busy right now. I don't want to, blah, blah, blah. And then it says, this person will join it if Byleth has a certain stats, or your main character, whatever you name it, and this weapon class, and then just this stat.
Yeah.
But what the game doesn't tell you is if you get to pretty much support level B, they'll just join you.
They just join immediately, and it doesn't say
not
that.
necessarily immediately, because I told you, Ingrid, it took her a little bit, but she eventually came. I didn't have to do anything extra.
Right.
But point is, they will join you.
That's all you have
if you
to
ask,
do.
or they'll come ask you. And the stat thing does make it easier, because another example I gave you is when I got Felix, who is a guy who wanted sword and speed, which Byleth naturally excels at. I didn't need to get the B to get him.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for him. I've just been like taking him on the missions and stuff, and I'm
He's
like,
good.
I mean, he's already just going on the missions. He
hits hard and he hits twice.
Like, I try not to use him too much because
he doesn't get levels.
Yeah, stealing experience from other people, but he's definitely got me out of some situations.
Yeah,
where I'm like, all right.
Honestly, what I've been mainly doing with those people when it wasn't the white mage that I had.
Yeah,
that was easy. Like, you just heal people. Because when you invite someone from another house to join you, no matter what they're involved in, they get support with Byleth.
Right.
So
which is good.
Just send them to attack, but not kill someone, and then let someone else figure out to get the bulk of the experience.
Yeah. So basically, I was just annoyed because I feel like now I'm probably, the clock's ticking until I'm not going to be able to recruit people anymore, and I feel like I've wasted a bunch of time.
Good news is, because you're in chapter 7, you said.
I think.
They pretty much say a year in the beginning of the game. I don't think that's a spoiler. You pretty much said the whole thing. You do a whole school year. So you got to chapter 12. I feel like it takes about 2 months max if you're really trying to get someone. So you should be good. And you get a freebie.
Yeah, because which is hilarious. Like, we need to move on in a minute, but like, if you choose the female Byleth, there's this one guy that's just like a completely like horn dog, like skirt chaser dude, and apparently if you have the female Byleth and you ask him to recruit, him, he'll just join immediately. You don't have to do anything, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, if I do another,
really funny.
I've been thinking about it. And if I do another house playthrough, I'll probably do Golden Deer next. I'll probably do the female one just to see the differences between character interaction and stuff. And I'll get him immediately.
Yeah, get him immediately. I mean, I think you'd probably understand that. I think Claude is like the best character in the entire game. I mean, I've not spent much time with Edelgard, but Claude's pretty great. And his voice actor is really good. Nice. I don't like much of the voice acting in this game, but I like Claude's a lot.
There's some that are stronger than others, and then when I say stronger for the most part, I mean some that are just kind of, they're good. This is an anime thing with a bunch of characters, so yeah. I usually don't expect the voice acting to be high quality, but yeah, there are some definitely better than others.
Yeah, I don't either, but I did notice just watching Jenny play with the Blue Lions, they have a high percentage of bad voice actors. I see like a lot of them are like
Mercedes isn't great.
No, Ash is pretty bad too.
I haven't heard much of Ash, so
he's not good. Sylvain is pretty bad a lot of the times. Like, he's very all over the place, but whenever like I was actually watching her, so I was seeing a lot more of his lines. There was a lot of them that was like, this is just wooden. Like,
I recruited them. Felix and Ingrid are okay from what I've heard.
Yeah. Really quick before we move on, how you liking the story? You're a little bit further than me, but how you liking that overall? Are you like more invested than you have been in previous Fire Emblems?
I would say so, but that's not a high bar.
It's not. It's not.
It's the thing with the story, because it's kind of, I think I can safely say up to this point, other than certain characters being in the story situation, it's pretty much the same right now between us.
I'm sure.
Which everyone expected until the time skip. I think that's when the bulk of the story happens. A lot of this right now is doing the whole day-to-day thing, and there's been that much story going on. But I think they've at least planted seeds. They're like, okay, this is interesting. Cool things are going on. You're liking the characters enough. So that kind of stuff's going on. And then we've mentioned before, the whole thing with the church sounds interesting, and
yeah,
they could go interesting places with that.
There's a lot of like cool things that they're alluding to. I think this game just has a massive setup period.
Yeah.
Like I think all of this is like one big setup, which makes it sound bad. I mean, the story has never been the focus of Fire Emblem, but at least like in this one, this is the first time like it's reminding me of Radiant Dawn, where like in Radiant Dawn, I legitimately was like, I want to know where this is going. I'm really interested where this is going. It's nowhere near as good as Radiant Dawn story-wise, but I am very interested. I'm intrigued in where we're going.
I'm just gonna wait as far as judging the story as a whole. Wait till the time skip stuff, and the thing that kind of maybe will suck about that is the 4 stories that post time skip stories could be
varying levels.
Yeah, various levels of quality. At least between me and you, we'll have 2 right away, and I should be able to do another one really quickly. Yeah, so I'll at least be able to compare those.
Which, if you're picking houses, one thing to consider is apparently Edelgard has this like branching path where you can have 2 different paths, but no one else does. So it's obvious that Edelgard is where they put most of their time and effort.
And stats show that worked because most people are picking Edelgard's house more than the other ones. Yeah, I mean that's to be expected. Yeah, they have the most waifus.
I mean, they visually it looks the coolest, but I don't know. I like the Claude, and I like the whole. We're not like we have no kings. We're just like these rebels. Like I like it, but we will talk more about it because weirdly enough, we're still kind of early, man.
Yeah. Okay,
but phenomenal game.
Yep. Okay, Darby. Something happened. Well, we talked about it last week. But it came out here on Smash.
It did.
Yep.
Yeah. We played like Jeff, and Jeff was too lame. He didn't come. But we played like in a group setting one time with him, and it's beautiful chaos. it's like it's a lot of fun. He is such a weird Smash character, and just to see like all 3 of us playing Hero, and you can tell like you look. I looked over at like Olivia, and I could tell she's just standing in one place. So I'm like, oh, she's going through the menus. I'm gonna go like Smash attack her, and there's gonna be a lot of that, know, catching people off guard, and there's a lot of risk reward with Hero and like MP management. There's a lot to like manage with him, which is kind of cool. It's a different thing for Smash.
Yeah, and the spells are very powerful when they hit the strong ones. Like just his base B fully charged is crazy. His side B is crazy.
Oh yeah, that fire, man, that fireball thing.
And then some of his menu spells. Crazy, man. Hocus pocus, man.
Yeah, which can hurt you. It has a chance of hurting you.
It's fun.
But what I like about like Hero is like, I mean, he does hit really hard, like harder than most other characters. But every single special he has is based on MP. So if you are just spamming those things, then you're going to be out and you're going to be like very vulnerable. So that's the tug
you
and
can get
pull
back
with
pretty
him.
quickly if you're
Yeah, but the big stuff at least takes a lot. You know? There are some tweaks I think they need to make with him, and I think that might be one of them. Maybe the MP I think could come back a little bit slower, and me and you've talked about a lot. The critical thing needs to come down.
People, who don't
explain
know.
what that is.
With his smash attacks, there's a chance that he will do a critical hit, which will hurt more, send you flying better or send the opponent flying more, and from what I've seen, could kill a decently low percentage, though you can say that about a lot of his moves, if they hit. And people have data mined the game, because obviously they will do that, anytime there's a smash patch. And I think I saw someone say they have it set at like 12.5% or something for the chance of a smash attack being a critical hit, which is a lot.
That's high.
It might be a little too high.
I would say like 2. I mean, it needs to be a rare thing. 5 at most is what I would say. 12 is definitely too high. And that's gonna because there was talks about him being banned in professional thing. I don't know how serious that was, but
I mean, people said the same thing when Joker came out, so I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he's
and who cares? It's Joker won Evo.
Joker won Evo, so
Spoilers.
the Phantom Thieves, they won.
And that Evo match is crazy. I can't believe it was. It's crazy that it was Joker versus Pokemon trainer to me.
Pokemon trainer is the weird.
Is
almost the weirdest one for me.
Yeah. And just the way the guy switched back and forth it was great.
Nice. Well, yeah, I think Hero is legitimately probably like it's the most. I don't know. He's the most like interesting new character playset wise, like that I maybe have ever seen in Smash. I'm not saying he's my favorite. I'm just saying like from just uniqueness and just like they went there, they really like pulled out all the stops. It's very abundantly clear.
You can tell Sakurai loves Dragon Quest.
I mean, it was almost like breaking Smash norms, like breaking things that you expect from the game, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I like how people worry about the Dragon Quest character being lame and generic.
Yeah.
Now they just made him very interesting and unique.
Nah. Yeah.
Sakurai got you.
Got him. Never doubt. Can we just stop doubting him? Can everyone just stop doubting Sakurai and stop asking him for things and just you should be like thanking him every day?
Yep. I mean, he gave us Banjo. What else do
we don't deserve that, man.
Yep. Banjo to be top tier confirmed.
He's gonna win Evo next year.
Believe it. I need Banjo versus Pichu. Why not?
Speaking of Evo, let's get into the news, Jeff. News jingle.
Jingle, jingle, jangle, Darby.
There were quite a few announcements of this year's Evo, Jeffrey. I mean, you have I have to like scroll. Let's see how many times I have to scroll on my phone. It's like one all the way. All right, it's two, but it was a lot.
I mean, most companies / games had Evo announcements. I think besides Smash, but they did the hero thing the week before, and Mortal Kombat, which again announced. Nightwolf release date like the week before.
Didn't you really like Nightwolf before in like 9? Didn't you really like Nightwolf in
think so.
MK9?
It's been a while.
Yeah. He looked cool.
Indeed. So let's get to those announcements, Darby. Street Fighter V Arcade Edition got 3 new DLC characters, which are E Honda, Poison, and Lucia from Final Fight 3. All 3 are out right now. So we got that guest character in Street Fighter, which. Well, I mean, it's from Capcom, so it's not the biggest thing.
Not that hard.
Yeah.
If it's
an easy transition.
Phoenix Wright, you cowards.
Yeah. Makes sense. E Honda and Poison coming back. They're iconic.
Yep. I mean, neither me and you are Street Fighter people, so it's like, this will be the last time I ever think about it. But that is cool, though.
Yep.
I mean, I know who they are, and I know nothing about Street Fighter, so.
Yep.
That's telling you something.
Tekken 7 announced what will come with its Season 3. Zafina, and a new character named Leroy Smith will be coming coming with Season 3, as well as 2 unannounced characters. The developers will also be adding new moves to every character on the roster.
Yeah, which is interesting. But Zafina gave me very like Valdo vibes with the way she didn't look like she was gonna be that. It was like looks like just a fighting game female character, and then she just starts like flailing all over the place, doing all this Valdo shit. Yeah. It's like, so that was interesting, but I'm sorry, Zafina. You're no Leroy Smith.
It's true.
But who is a Leroy Smith? It's like, might be one of the most just like badass characters I've ever seen. It's this like old dude with like gray dreads and big sunglasses and then like, I think some chains, like gold chains and stuff, and he's just beating the shit out of some people.
Oh, all right, this is where we should bring up a controversy from EVO.
Oh, no. Is this one the snake thing? That's what Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought it was going to be about Leroy Smith. I was like, yeah, swear to God.
Oh, no, nothing. Everyone loves Leroy Smith.
Okay. Jeff, you worried me there, okay?
Okay, so right after the Tekken Finals, they showed a teaser of Harada doing a codec with Snake. And Snake saying, that was some good-ass Tekken. And naturally, people freaked out and were thinking Tekken was coming, or Snake was coming to Tekken.
Yeah. Because you're at a fighting game tournament that has all these announcements. You can't just do that. And apparently...
Yeah. And EVO did it on their own without the knowledge of Bamco or Konami. Yeah, they got David Hayter did do the lines, but apparently he charges just $75 for him to say anything. I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So that happened, but he didn't know that it was going to be used for this, and he wasn't happy. No one was happy.
No.
And what sucks is it kind of this happened before the actual DLC announcements, that kind of drained the hype because people were like, "Where's Snake? Where's Snake? Where's Snake?" And then it didn't happen, and people were like, "Oh, okay."
It makes me wonder if this was like kind of a publicity stunt, because I feel like there's no way EVO doesn't know that that's what people are going to think.
And
like, there's no, they can't be that dumb.
Yeah, and there was some kind of weird things. People were like, "Of course, Snake's not attacking. What were you guys thinking?" Like, what are you talking about?
It's at a fighting game tournament with all these announcements. I mean, yeah, of course you're gonna.
Of course, when we
because it doesn't even make sense. Like as a joke, it doesn't make sense. It's just like, okay, well that was kind of mean and dumb.
Yeah,
like it's not even. There's no punchline. There's no like relationship with Snake that makes it like, oh, haha. It's like, it's just kind of a dick thing to do.
Ironically, this could lead to Snake attacking.
Honestly,
because people naturally asked Harada about it.
Maybe that's
Harada was not happy.
EVO are actually like, this is their like galaxy brain plan to get Snake in Tekken. It's like, we're just gonna sneak this in there, get the idea of that out there, and then force it to happen.
I saw a meme before it was just unconfirmed of being real of Snake calling Noctis like, I already got Cloud, now I'm coming for you.
Yeah, and that too, like Tekken has already had Noctis, so it's like
fucking Negan.
Oh, Negan. It's like, yeah, like Snake is not that crazy.
Snake makes more sense than both of them.
Oh yeah. Like Konami's just looking for money now. They'll sell out Snake to whoever wants him.
Yeah, we
could get Snake on our podcast. I don't know how that will work, but we can do it.
Get David Hayter.
We can get David Hayter. He has to stay in character the entire podcast.
Metal Gear.
Yeah, nailed it.
Yep.
Hire him. Hire Jeff. Jeff will be the Snake and the next Snake and the next Metal Gear. They'll be bad because it's Konami.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm curious to see if this will lead to anything. Probably not.
So what to take from that whole segment is Leroy Smith owns.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. Next, Soul Calibur 6 announced the last character of Season 1 pass with fan favorite Cassandra. They also announced the Season 2 pass, which will include 4 new characters, including guest character Haomaru from Samurai Showdown.
Which, that was hype. I mean, like, I don't even really care. Like, I like watching Samurai Showdown. I've never played it in anything. But just the way that they did that trailer where it was like, in card, and then the like flowers start coming up and that like, boom. I'm like, oh, hell yeah.
I was actually watching it during that part, and I saw the 4 character things. I was like, oh, a guest character, cool. And then started like,
oh shit, we're doing it right now.
Samurai Showdown makes perfect sense to be, crossing over with Soul Calibur. The only downside is Haomaru looks a lot like Mitsurugi.
Yeah,
already, and then with the samurai sword and stuff. I mean, I know they'll make it work, and the different games and all that.
Well, I was kind of impressed. I mean, I was happy they did this because honestly, most of Soul Calibur's guests, and I hate to say this, but most of Soul Calibur's guests are like kind of bigger,
marketing ploy.
Yeah, and they're kind of like more just popular.
Look who we got.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're from very big things, like obviously Star Wars, and even Geralt with The Witcher, way bigger than Samurai Showdown. Even Nier, is like way bigger 100%. Than Samurai Showdown. Samurai Showdown is not that big, so I was kind of happy that they are willing to design this whole character for the fans. Like, this is a very like fan
I think it's actually
move.
It's hype in a way of we're getting all these guest characters in fighting games, but we're less and less of them are guest characters from other fighting games. It's just characters not in normal fighting, which are hype on their own because characters that are normally fighting in their fighting games, but at the same time, it's also can be hype of two fighting games crossing over.
Yeah, and like 2 that are hot right now. Like both of them kind of making a resurgence.
Yeah, and seeing how a character that you're used to in one game working with the mechanics of another game.
Yeah, and both of them are like weapon fighters, so it kind of makes sense there too.
And like an example is we talked about Tekken, and this is Bamco and all that. Akuma in Tekken 7.
Yeah,
people love that. Yeah, and there are a lot more examples in Tekken 7. Tekken 7 has actually been doing.
This is like 3 is a good many guest characters for a Soul Calibur game, right? Don't they normally only have like 1 or 2 per game? Maybe I'm misremembering.
It's been a while though since I think the last like mainline Soul Calibur, so it's one of those things of this is the first time in the era of DLC.
Yeah.
which is where 2 of the guest characters have come from. So
That's true.
I think it's the thing of guest characters are now a lot more accepted or easier to do, I guess, or whatever, especially since DLC is a thing. So that's why we're getting more. That's why Tekken has a good many of them at this point.
Everyone's a lot more open, it seems like, with their characters than they used to be.
Which is fine, but yeah, I've seen some arguments of people with all these guest characters making guest characters less special. I'm like, shut up.
It's still hype. We've seen stuff like this happen all the time, but I got goosebumps and I don't even care about Samurai Shodown that much. I mean, I do it a little bit, but like I've never even played it.
Yeah,
and that was hype. I mean, that was cool.
Yeah. I get not, I don't want every character to be a guest character in these kind of things, but having one in a pass of 4, yeah, I think that's fine.
And I think that was a good testament too to like, live events can still be hype. Like, you kind of can't beat that and having the stadium erupt when they hear the dong. That was cool.
Okay, well, speaking of Samurai Shodown also announced a bunch of upcoming DLC fighters. In August, first DLC character Rimururu will be released. In September, Shizumaru Hisami will be released as a free DLC character for all regions. October will see the release of Basara, while Kazuki Kazama will drop in November. And finally, Wanfu will release in December. SNK also announced a Season 2 of DLC is coming in 2020, first DLC being Mina Majikina. So, main thing of that is, and I think it's cool, is they're continuing to support this game, and if you're into Samurai Shodown, you get one interesting thing a month with new fighters, because there's one fighter a month for the rest of the year.
Oh, yeah. They also started doing the 2020 one, right?
That's what they announced one.
Yeah.
So that's exciting for Samurai Shodown fans, for sure.
Awesome.
Character designs look cool for that thing.
That game looks like a lot of fun. It's just there's too many fighting games that all look fun right now. There's just too many of them. And
the rest of the announcements for this just doesn't, help us decide. And plus, we need to play more Soul Calibur.
Yeah. Wait.
Let's see. SNK announced that King of Fighters 15 is now in development. Yep. I mean, that's hype for those fans.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of this.
Yeah. Janemba was finally officially announced for Dragon Ball FighterZ and looks dope. It's all the crazy stuff you expect Janemba to do, so that will be exciting. We need to play that more. We also got our first look at Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Gogeta, who also looks crazy, and they actually used for one of his moves kind of a scene thing from the recent Broly movie, and kind of changed the art style a little bit for that shot. It is great and beautiful.
Okay.
Because the artwork for that movie is amazing.
That's the new one.
The new ones, that I saw at Alex and Olivia in theaters. Because the anime, not great because it's one of those things, weekly long running series, so the artwork's not great. The movie though,
actually, I was like time and effort.
Yeah. No, the artwork's amazing. If they bring the anime back, they need to do more art like that.
Nice.
It's just so nice and fluid and all that. Okay, well, we started with Arc System Works. Let's talk about more Arc System Works because they were busy.
A busy E3.
I mean, they had E3 games at EVO.
And then all the announcements, too.
Yeah, they announced stuff related to all those games. And then another thing, but we'll get to that. Arc System Works announced that BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle 2.0 update will be released on November 21st for $24.99. This will add 9 characters, including Yumi from Senra Kagura Estival Versus, Neapolitan from Ruby, Akatsuki from Akatsuki Blitzkampf, and Blitztank from Akatsuki Blitzkampf.
I mean, Blitztank is the only one you really need to know about. Yeah. Being honest.
So, I kind of like how they're just like, okay, we're doing this big update. A lot of stuff, a lot more is going on with these updates than just these characters. They're all going to come on the same day. Mm-hmm. So get hyped for that.
Just giant 9-character drop.
Yep. Oh yeah. We're also adding 2 new series to this crossover.
Yep.
And we're adding another Ruby character, which people want.
People would.
And we're adding a fucking tank.
That literally, go watch this trailer because, even if you don't care about this game, watch the trailer because the tank, it's literally a tank with a face on the end of the gun, and it takes up half of the screen. I'm not exaggerating. There's player 1's on this side, player 2's on this side. The entire player 1 side is this tank. I honestly don't know how it's gonna work, but apparently it
beautifully
does. Can the tank jump?
I don't know.
Does that giant model jump?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's really bizarre, but I love it.
Yeah, I think these were. I don't know what the rest of the characters are, and obviously, I don't have the most knowledge of BlazBlue and all that kind of stuff. The series and this thing, but I think these were the right characters to announce this thing with. There are 5 more.
I was entertained.
Yeah, because Syndrome Kagura is a big thing. It's a new series added in, so having a character added from that, the initial announcement, that's good. That's fine. Plus, we knew it was coming because of data mines. Another Ruby character. There are so few of those. Awesome. And as far as then, adding another new series and Akatsuki Blitzkampf, add the main character, I assume,
I've never heard of that game.
I haven't either, but considering one of the characters' names in the title of the game, I assume he's the main character.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to add him. And then you add the one that will get
be
talked about the most in a fucking tank.
Yeah, we're sitting here talking about it. So.
Yeah. So, but also the one thing that I'm kind of like about with all this is the fact that with BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, it started with 20 characters. They added 20 characters, over 20 characters since then. You've had to pay for about all of them on their own. So it started out as like a $40 game. It easily is above $60 by the time you get all the DLC characters. And now they're asking for another $25 for another 5 characters and other stuff, which is not a bad price on its own, honestly. $25 for 9 characers. But the fact that they've added so much to the roster.
The $40 was very misleading. They want you to look in there and be like, oh, it's only $40. I'll get it. Not knowing that they're going to keep half the game almost. Like, And honestly, this could be a main topic where like this is kind of a fighting game problem in general. Like definitely some are way worse than others. But like I can't think of a single fighting game that hasn't like kind of strung things along with DLC. And almost every main fighting game that I know about, if you added up all the DLC prices, you end up at like $80 to $100 easy. Which is obnoxious. And for some reason, it's just so much worse than fighting games than like any other.
Because it's easy to get people into the idea of a new character, and the people that are really in will buy the bonus stuff like the costumes and colors and all that kind of stuff. But
it's just obnoxious because there's other games like Overwatch that just adds heroes and maps and all over the place, and you never have to pay another dime for it.
I'm gonna be honest right here. If like we got stuff like we're BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, for instance, if all these characters were added for little to no cost, I might have went ahead and gotten it or other games. Another fighting game I might end up getting anyway because it's not as egregious as this. It's the Power Rangers fighting game because it's cheaper in general.
Yeah, it's a smaller thing.
Darby, it looks so good. As far as fighting, the characters they added are great. They're making it so unique. I'm probably just gonna get that. But partly because I just want a 2D fighting game on my Switch for some reason. I feel like that'd be the right one. So there's all that with BlazBlue. Let's see. Arc System Works announced Under Night in Birth X Lake Clear. That's a name. Will come out in early 2020. This will have a new character named Laundrekia, as well as a rebalance that will treat characters and mechanics. Okay, one thing I'm not clear about on this is because I do not know. I know little to nothing about Under Night in Birth.
You gotta say the full name, Joe.
I'm talking about the series in general. Is this just an update of the game that was already at EVO, or is this a brand new game? Because the way this read makes me think it's an updated version of the game.
I don't know. Sure. I honestly thought we were just gonna be skipping this plot. Plot point. I know nothing about this series.
Okay. Let's get to
nothing.
Let's get to maybe the most exciting one.
Okay.
Arc System Works also announced a new Guilty Gear game, which is scheduled for 2020. And dear Lord, is that trailer beautiful?
It did look really good. It did. It's kind of like Arc System Works, just. I don't know. They have
steroids.
They have it down just with designing 2D.
So it's the thing with it that makes me kind of excited, just as just being a fan of watching this animation work. Obviously, Dragon Ball is beautiful, and I think that's one of the bigger technical showpieces for them. Mainly because I think it's maybe the only fighting game that's based on this gen technology. The only one they've released so far. BlazBlue's using stuff from PS3 assets and all that.
Right.
Guilty Gear will be the second. But Dragon Ball, they had to... Why it's beautiful and I love it. It is having to just take stuff from another... stuff that's happened in a series and then trying to recreate it.
Yeah.
So they're kind of maybe limited on what they can do, like going crazy with it.
And a lot of it's shot for shot.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's the words I was looking for. But with Guilty Gear, it's their own thing. They can go crazy with it and just do whatever the hell they want.
Right. And it's been like a long time. And I think,
the last one came out on PS3.
And hasn't that always been like 2D sprites and stuff like that, or like almost sprite based?
Yeah,
like,
but this is like Dragon Ball
3D,
where they're 3D models.
Yeah, and I agree with people who said that, like, a lot of times, like I would almost say most of the time, when you have a 2D fighter or 2D anything, it's like we're making it 3D. A lot of times it just does not hold up, or like the 3D just ends up like looking way worse than the 2D, especially given time. But this is one of those that you look at this and it really does feel like it like keeps that. It keeps the visual style, like it looks good. It's hard to...
Dragon Ball, and I'm going to assume this, are going to think things we look back and it holds up.
I do want to see this more in action. It was a very short trailer.
I agree.
So some of it was like, how much of this is actual game? Because
it looks like a decent amount of it.
Then they would be fighting, but then the camera would like turn in this weird way, and I'm like, okay, well that's obviously not happening in the real game unless it's unless it's a stage thing where you're knocking from stage to stage.
I think that was one thing people pointed out who know more about Guilty Gear.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a thing where the guy knocked the man back in the stage that looked like it was a stage transition, which is something that hasn't been in Guilty Gear, I don't think. Gotcha. So people were pointing that out. I was like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I told you, show Alex that he was like, I'm in for this. And cool. I kind of am too. I'm going to keep an eye on this game.
It reminds me of Blaze Blue a lot, just the very anime thing. But it kind of looks like, we've been playing a lot of Blaze Blue Central Fiction. It kind of looks like the level up from that.
Which has me very interested in all that.
My nitpick, that song was awful. Awful.
Give me that Japanese butt rock.
Terrible. It was just terrible.
But what was I to say? Apparently, Guilty Gear is a very deep game that can be hard to get into. Apparently, they're doing the kind of thing where the developer already said they're going to try to make it more accessible and all that. So more likely that we can actually play it.
Yeah. So yeah, people will be mad about it. We're not those people.
Yep. Okay. Moving on from all the EVO announcements. A lot of crazy stuff in there.
Yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot of fun stuff.
Now, Darby, let's get to something that's not as fun.
Yep. Here comes the anger. Here comes the pain.
And this is one of those things, unfortunately, the way it's like, there's a lot of reading to do, but I feel like it's all, for the most part, necessary.
Yeah, I agree. If you need to stop for a break,
okay,
I can give you a pat on the back.
This comes from Enron Khan from Game Informer. Last week, the developers at the two-person studio Glumberland announced that they would be bringing their upcoming adventure game Ooblets to the Epic Game Store rather than Steam on PC for a period of temporary exclusivity. While a Steam listing has been up for some time, the game has not been purchasable, and is coming to Xbox One still. The small game that never really garnered much attention has become the flashpoint for a larger cultural war over developer decisions, the Epic Game Store, and the validity of consumer anger and entitlement. On Thursday, the developers at Glumberland, a husband and wife team made up of Rebecca Cordingley and Ben Wasser, put up a blog post announcing the Epic Game Store exclusivity. Knowing that exclusivity deals, especially to Epic Game Store, tend to anger PC gamers for oftentimes a variety of reasons, Glumberland hoped to kill the controversy with kindness ahead of time. The pair put up a blog post explaining their reasoning, citing that the money Epic was offering for exclusivity could help them make the game without stress and hire on more people to help out their beleaguered contracted programmer. The post was tongue-in-cheek and appeared to try to speak to people upset about Epic Game Store but willing to engage the argument in good faith, a seemingly miscalculation in retrospect. One Reddit post, a user called the explanation condescending and disgusting, explaining that they felt insulted as consumers. Quote, "This is about more than just downloading another launcher," another post read, referring to the part of the developer update that suggested Glumberland had full faith in their base to download the Epic Game Store's client. The line one was Exhibit A and stoking fan anger over what was determined to be a glib and dismissive attitude from the developers. What ensued was a massive wave of hate and harassment over the decision to become exclusive to the Epic Game Store, what the harassers were labeling as commensurate reaction to the developers' attitude. The game's Discord channel became flooded with people questioning the developers, screen capping their responses, sending them death threats, and even editing and wholesale creating faked images. At one point, Wazzer took to Twitter to explain that despite the screenshots circulating around, he did not say that gamers should go to the gas chambers. A video was created to back that screenshot up, which itself was also fake. The response to the tweet informed Wazzer that They either did not believe his claims or that the screenshots were believable because of his attitude and thus were still ultimately his fault. It seems unlikely that most of these responses were from people eagerly anticipating the game. Developers Patreon had 1,100 patrons, while the Steam discussion boards before the August exclusivity announcement had 72 topics from when it launched in June 2017. Earlier today, Wezer released a Medium post explaining what he and accordingly were going through over the weekend since the announcement. Just a general content warning. Wezer posts some examples of the harassment they have been receiving, and much of it is not family safe, as it includes death threats, racism, anti-Semitism, and more. In the post, he explains that he understands frustrations with the Epic deal. He does not understand the anger over it or why it has escalated to this level. Epic themselves has come out in support of Glumberland and are standing by the developer, condemning all the harassment over not just Ooblets, but over the general tone whenever a game becomes exclusive to the store. Quote, the announcement of Ooblets highlighted a disturbing trend which is growing and undermining healthy public discourse, and that's the coordinated and deliberate creation and promotion of false information, including fake screenshots, videos, and technical analysis, accompanied by harassment of partners, promotions of hateful themes, and intimidation of those with opposing views. Epic sent a statement released on their website. We have reached out to Cumberland for comment.
Whew. Good job, Jeffrey. Thank you. That was a lot. I'm tired of talking about this. Not saying like this is boring me. I'm tired of talking. I'm just tired of like this getting just worse and worse. And it just seems like every other day there's people getting death threats, rape threats, anything, just absolute monstrous stuff over a game store.
Yeah. And here's the thing, Darby, and I know a bunch of people have a bunch of responses that it's more than this. And again, I'm going to reiterate something we've said before. I get why people may have problems with the Epic Games Store as far as they not having features and some features Steam already has and all that. That's fine. That's fair. Voice your complaints and hope they can do better. But
don't buy it. Just don't give them your money.
But all you have to do is download another client. It's not like you have to buy another freaking console or anything.
I know. And I really do wonder where the root of all of this is, because like stuff like this happens. Obviously, the biggest example for this is just console gaming, where there's the console exclusives all the time. That's something that's just we just know it happens, and like you have to buy a whole nother console for it. I think it's a much bigger deal, but
yeah,
it's accepted. We know we're not like sending Naughty Dog death threats because I can't get Uncharted on my Xbox. It's not something that happens. But it's not even just in console gaming. It's just in general. It's just business practices. This is like, I'm not saying there's not valid complaints about or worries about Epic. A giant company like Epic throwing their money around and buying up the market or whatever. I think there's a conversation there. I think there's also a conversation about Steam having a monopoly. But
yeah, I think the problem is that conversation jumped from, hey, there might be some issues with this, to screw the Epic Game Store and everything they stand for and anyone who goes on in and all that.
And I mean, obviously this is still a vocal minority, even though it might not feel like it, because I think that they just scream loud. Because the Epic Game Store is doing phenomenally well in a very short amount of time. I mean, they're clearly a vocal minority, but that doesn't change the fact that this is a husband and wife making this small game that are having to deal with people threatening them, making up quotes about them, which, God, how miserable do you have to be to what are you even standing for at that point when you're just completely making shit up about someone? Like, what message are you trying to and they still, regardless of how much of a vocal minority this is, people like that still have to deal with that. And all they're doing is making a fucking game and trying to break even, which they pretty much said.
Well, they mentioned the fact that this would help have financial stability, and Jason Schreier might have an explanation for exactly what that means. This doesn't necessarily mean it's the exact thing for this developer, but Jason Schreier said this in a tweet recently, not necessarily in response to this, but the Epic Game Store in general. Quote, in the last few weeks, I've actually talked to 2 different indie devs whose deals with Epic ensure that no matter how many copies they sell, they'll at least break even. A rare bit of stability in a volatile industry. But oh no, gamers have to use a store with fewer features. End quote. So yeah, we talked about this yesterday, off mic and everything, but who wouldn't take this deal if they're a small indie studio where at the very least you'll break even, you'll lose nothing, and any game you sell you'll make money, you'll be in the green.
I mean, at some point it's business, and if you're gonna be mad at someone, be mad at Epic for buying all these people out. But I mean, I'm just saying. Hold on, let me finish.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine. But I would say, don't be mad at the game developers, big or small, because it's a business, and especially when it's a small husband and wife duo like this, they're gonna do what's best for them to make money and everything. And if they don't do that, they're not good business. But it's foolish to not do that. Epic's I would, and you can go ahead with the Epic Game Store. I'm just saying it makes no sense to me to be mad at this husband and wife for just trying to, make money off of this game that had very few backers, didn't look like it was gonna get much steam. They needed that. I'm sorry, but
well, in the long run, this will probably help Ooblets. I mean, this was one of my point, because now it went from, like the article kind of saying, we all know, not really that well known, to now everyone's talking about their game, and they're, like you said, this is kind of a very vocal minority, and now there are a bunch of people who are reading this story and these people attacking them are awful. These people aren't.
So I'm going to support them.
Yeah, not necessarily support them, but at the very least, they're like, hey, this game actually looks cool.
Yeah, because they at least have eyes on them.
Because from watching the game, it does one of those farming game simulator type thing niches, like the Harvest Moon type stuff.
Right.
And that's a niche that,
a lot of people like. Yeah. Still,
not having the most amount of games, and it does look like it's actually interesting. So, for that genre.
Yeah, and this is. I really don't know how much of this, is this vocal minority being heard so much because we keep giving it oxygen and because we keep writing articles about it and keep talking about it every time. Just it's obviously usually way less harsh, but I get so angry every single time I see one of those. Look at all these people signing this fan petition or whatever. And I'm like, you realize this means nothing. It'll have no effect. So why the fuck are we still talking about it? Every single time it's clockwork, some TV show or something ends, some people don't like it, and then IGN and GameSpot and everyone else gets a bunch of clicks off of just pointing out some pointless, not worth anyone's time fan petition. And this is kind of this. I worry this is a similar type of thing where these people are just this whole kind of entitled and vitriolic movement is getting more oxygen because we keep talking about it. But at the same time, this is a husband and wife duo that are dealing with real threats in their inbox and everything, and that's not something that I want to just completely ignore. So I'm kind of at a loss. It's rough.
The thing is, I think it may not be as much of a vocal minority as a lot of the other stuff we'd say too. I mean, it's a minority, for sure. But
yeah,
I think vocal minority, I think very small percentage, but it feels like a lot of the stuff, there are a lot of people upset about this, even if they don't jump to this level. And it just might be because I read a lot of Resetera, but Resetera is one of the worst places to read about these Epic Game Store things. A lot of people there get very upset, even if they don't go to this levels. It's crazy.
I think Resetera and before NeoGAF is kind of the cesspool of the gaming industry in a lot of ways, in the forums at least, but I don't know. I mean, is it entitlement from a specifically PC gamer crowd? See, I just can't.
The thing is, a lot of the reasons, even if they're when, as I said, people do have legitimate complaints about the Epic Game Store, which need voice them, and they need to be heard and all that to make the Epic Game Store better. But even those legitimate concerns come from a kind of it seemed like a place of entitlement, because I just found it funny, when the Epic Game Store was announced, I've seen people this is not what PC gaming's all about. It's so what PC gaming's all about? Just Steam? Okay.
When Steam was announced everyone hated Steam.
Yeah.
Everyone
It's like, this is
loathed
the
it.
only place we can play Half-Life?
It's just because they got used to it now, and a bunch of people grew up only playing on Steam. Just like probably the same thing will happen now. There'll be a bunch of kids that only grow up on playing Epic, and then it's all gonna blow over at some point. But I don't know. I'm with you. I think that just there are so many things that are more worthwhile about being mad about, even in the video game industry. There are a lot of problems that Epic Game Store seems like pretty far down on the list to me.
Yeah.
But, the sad thing is the people being like responsible and reasonable about their Epic Game Store complaints aren't getting articles written about them, obviously.
Yeah.
Because that's...
Yeah, it is one of those things. I do feel bad for the people that have legitimate complaints and expressing them nicely, because me and you probably may be guilty of this too. Okay, let's face it, we are kind of guilty of this in this conversation. We're just kind of pushing their things more aside because of this vocal minority.
Yeah, it makes you like throw out everyone who thinks that way. And I don't know. Because just the internet in general... politics and gaming and everything, we have a very bad habit of holding the megaphone up to the worst people in the world, because it's the stuff that like me and you are pissed off when we read this, but we read this and we read it every single time and get pissed off again. Because that's what gets clicks. It's kind of frustrating. But like I said, at the same time, I don't want to ignore this husband and wife that are going through this. It's like,
at the very least, even though we might get a couple people listen to it and know that this game exists and might support them if they're interested in the game.
Hopefully it'll be a net good thing for them, but I'm sure it's terrifying for them.
Oh, yeah.
Because there might be some crazy person that finds their address or something. Like,
that is the fear, but that doesn't happen, and, knock wood, it doesn't. I think this will be, in the long run, a good thing for things. Like I said, it gets their name out there at the very least.
Yeah.
And there are a bunch of people that are in full support. More people that are in full support of them than not. Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
That's just the first bad topic.
This comes from Brendan Sinclair from GameIndustry.biz. The Entertainment Software Association has said that Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft are working on new policies to require loot box odds disclosure on their systems. Entertainment Software Association Chief Counsel of Tech Policy Michael Warneck, pretty cool name, announced the news this morning at the Federal Trade Commission's Inside the Game workshop on the loot box issue. Comments came after Warneck recapped the industry's previous attempts to address loot box concerns. An in-game purchase label on retail titles and platform level spending controls on consoles, the EA Origin PC storefront. Quote, that said, we are doing more, Warneck said. I'm pleased to announce this morning that Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony have indicated to ESA a commitment to new platform policies with respect to the use of paid loot boxes in games that are developed for their platform. Specifically, this would apply to new games and game updates that add loot box features, and it would require the disclosure of the relative rarity or probabilities of obtaining randomized virtual items in games that are available on their platforms, end quote. Apple mandated loot box odds closure for iOS games in 2017. Google followed suit with Google Play requirements earlier this year. In an update, that Sinclair wrote this: the ESA has provided more details on loot box disclosures, saying that platform holders are targeted to implement them in 2020. The trade group released a list of its members companies that have pledged to release loot box disclosure odds on all new games by the end of 2020. That list includes Activision Blizzard, Bandai Namco Entertainment, Bethesda, Bungie, EA, Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony, Take-Two, Ubisoft, Warner Brothers, and Wizards of the Coast. And I'm just going to put it out there because it kind of, after this, they named a whole bunch of studios that were not on this list right now. I remember THQ was one of them. THQ said, hey, we just didn't say anything about it. Doesn't mean we're not doing this and that.
Well, they said, like,
we also don't have loot boxes.
Yeah, they said we don't have any games that have loot boxes.
So that doesn't mean the people that aren't on this list are not doing it or whatever. That just want to.
Yeah. Oh, and also, I don't know if it was in there because I read this earlier about it and listened to you just now. Yeah. I know Epic wasn't on that, but since then, Epic's been asked, and Epic basically said, oh, no, we're going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So, there, yeah. I think this is just one of those obviously good things. There's no doubt. There's no downside
to this whatsoever, and yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's there's going to be people who think like, yep, this is enough, and there's going to be people that said we need to go further. But either way, this is a good thing. Like disclosure of this is a good step. Like, you know,
yeah, it's one of those things with this, where the whole loot box thing, the whole gambling thing, it's a problem even if it's not as bad as some people made it seem.
Right.
But a step forward is always good, even, you know. It's a step at the very least, and I can't see any argument against this.
Nope, it's just like, it's better for people to know what they're getting. I mean, it's
potentially, like,
at least just know the rate of things. Like, there's just there's nothing cynical to really say about just this, and it shows that, I mean, obviously the vitriolic pressure we don't need, but pressure on these companies does lead to change. Like, this would not have happened if there weren't controversies and there weren't fan pushback, you know, but the big flashpoint being like the Star Wars Battlefront thing, and then going on from that. It works. Like, you need to pressure these companies. You don't need to send death threats to them, but you do need to vote with your wallet and pressure them, and obviously it does. You know?
Another new devil advocate argument I just thought of. It's kind of more of a silly thing, but screw it. So now that let's say this happens, I'm going to use Overwatch as an example. Let's say let's use Olivia as an example. she sees the odds and sees the chances of legendary skins, like, oh, it's 5%. I got 1 in 20 chance. So they just keep on doing that. Like, I'll get it sometime.
So it makes it worse.
Yeah, for some people.
Yeah,
that's the kind of dumb devil's advocate argument
I could see with. Like, for games that we haven't known the percent on, and now we get to know, I could see people being like, it was that low this whole time? What am I wasting my time with?
Yeah, there could be that, yeah.
It's like, it was a 0.2% chance? Like, what the hell? No wonder I only got 1 in like 100 hours to play.
Yeah.
No. But, yeah. Pokeblock, Jeff, it's time for a Pokeblock. Wee.
Pikachu. Yep, and we might have more Pokeblock coming up, Darby.
So should I just walk away?
No, it's fine.
I do want to get a water. Is now an okay time to go get a water?
Sure, why not?
Alrighty.
Well, we could have more next week because we have the Pokemon Championships, I think, next week. And they normally announce at least 1 new Pokemon there. So fun times. Okay. There's a new Pokemon trailer this week, which announced a bunch of cool information, in my opinion. Galarian forms were officially revealed, which are pretty much, you know, like Alolan forms from Gen 7, which people who don't know are forms of old Pokemon that, you know, their thing is, because of the conditions of this new region, they evolve differently or take different forms and types and all that.
Yeah.
The first Galarian form Pokemon officially confirmed was Galarian Weezing, which is a poison/fairy type Pokemon.
Perfection.
It is perfect.
Just nothing better. They could not have done better. Perfection.
It's true.
It fits with the whole like England British theme where he has his top hat and everything, and the gas makes a mustache
and a beard. Yeah,
and he's a chimney thing. And he actually has like a use. Apparently, he's like
cleaning air.
Just everything, top to bottom. Perfect.
It's perfect.
Okay.
Galarian Zigzagoon and Lanoon were also revealed, which, you know, they are dark normal types. So before I move on, the exciting thing about this is, Darby, finally a regional variant Pokemon that isn't from Gen 1. Yep, because
that never happened with any of the Alolan.
Nope, the Alolan forms were all Gen 1. Weezing the Gen 1. So getting one that's not Gen 1 is very, very exciting. Yep, so I'm hyped about that. Now, something that's probably more exciting, Galarian Lanoon has a new evolution, Darby. Regular Lanoon is the final form. Galarian Lanoon can evolve to the new Pokemon, Obstagoon.
So that's cool. It's a very old Pokemon that they're giving
a new evolution, which is exciting because the way they framed it made it sound like they're going to be more, and of course there's more. Why would they keep it at 1 and it'd be freaking Zigzagoon of all things? But this is exciting because just this whole thing, because we'll get the regional variants, which is something people, I think as a whole, I don't think the very few people that didn't like them in Gen 7.
It feels like a good middle ground between, like, it pleases the people that want nostalgia and want the Pokemon that they remember from their childhood, but it also is new.
Yeah,
it's a good mix.
Well, and also, that, and it also gives the old Pokemon a chance to actually be relevant, because a lot of the Pokemon, just based on the way this game changed and types and all that, kind of were thrown to the wayside. Like, Zigzagoon was never good.
Yeah.
But the fact that it changed its type and gave it an evolution means it could actually be a decent Pokemon. Same thing with Weezing. Weezing used to be pretty good, I guess, tank Pokemon, supposed to have a high defense, but it got pushed to the wayside because of a bunch of different things. But with this new typing and everything, it could actually be really good.
Cool.
Yep, so there's that. And Obstagoon is an obvious reference to Kiss.
Oh, yeah, it's so good.
And you know what's also awesome? Gene Simmons talked about it. And
Really?
you would normally think that would be, oh, no. Actually, I think I got...
Like making fun of it or bashing it or something.
Or Sue.
Or Sue.
Because it's Gene Simmons. I got the... Just give me 2 seconds. Okay, here it is. This is what he told Newsweek. Pokemon has been a part of our household for decades, ever since our kids first discovered them. And to see Pokemon pay homage to Kiss, it's flattering.
That's good. Good.
Yeah. That made me happy.
Yep.
So I actually like both these Pokemon, these forums. I'm interested to try them. Galarian and Weezing might make my final team in my run, because it's so cool. I don't think Obstagoon
I want
will.
him in our Nuzlocke too.
I don't think Obstagoon will make my personal team, but I'm really hoping we just catch in the Nuzlocke, because I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Especially since we have
Xandra 2, sequel to Xandra.
Yep. And there was another new Pokemon named Morpeko.
Morpex.
Yep.
Oh.
It is an electric dark type that changes between its full belly and hangry form each turn.
Hangry form.
Have you seen this Pokemon?
No, I don't think so.
It is the Pikachu clone of this generation.
Then maybe I have.
Yeah, it's a little hamster.
Well, I just saw people like posting a bunch of different Pikachu things and asking like why they keep making Pikachu clones.
Yeah, they do it every gen.
Yeah.
And that's its hangry form, the dark one. And when it changes forms, depending which mode it is, determine the type is signature move Aura Wheel, which is like him running on a hamster wheel that he shoots at people.
Aura Wheel is hard to say.
Yeah. Yep. The new rivals, Bede, Bede, and Marnie were revealed. So looks like we finally have an asshole rival again. Because recently they've all been nice, like, we're best friends.
I know, when we talked with Bro Trio, that was one of the things y'all all said.
Yeah.
Y'all are all a bunch of like masochists or something. Y'all wanted the rivals to be mean to you.
I want them to tell me smell you later when they walk away. And Marnie seems cool. Marnie has a bigger role in the story than some rivals, because the villain Team Yell is based around her. They're just a bunch of Marnie fanboys and girls.
That's awesome.
Yep, and they're pretty much just
groupies.
Yeah, well, vitriolic or whatever, like football fans.
That's awesome.
Yep, and that's the villain team. They're goofy and stuff, and people have some problems with that. But there's going to be another evil organization. That's the way it's going to go.
That's trying to destroy the world.
And finally, Pokejobs were revealed. With Pokejobs, you send Pokemon on to do jobs on the PC, and they gain experience. Certain Pokemon are better suited for different jobs. So this is another way that will make Nuzlocke easier, because we send Pokemon like in the box to do jobs, and they'll get experience, and I don't have to grind them.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So stuff like that, I'm all for.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, I don't touch it, and it's just there.
Again, like I always feel like stuff like that doesn't necessarily make it easier. It's just time saving, which is a-okay with me, honestly. Mm-hmm. Even like, small tangent, but even the Divine Pulse with Fire Emblem, we haven't really talked about that. Yeah. Like, I actually really like it. It doesn't really make the game easier, because like I would have done all the same steps I did before anyway. I would have turned off the game and did all the same steps until the point that I messed up anyway. So it just saves time. Like,
I will say that they may give you too many.
Yeah, they probably do give you too many.
Because I think I'm about up to 10 now.
Holy shit, really? Like,
yeah.
I'm at 5, and I thought that I was about to max out.
I don't know. I think I'm close to 10.
And I've never come close to using 5.
Yeah.
I've used like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yep. So that's all the Pokemon news. I am excited. All these like things with the Galarian forms and the new regional evolutions and stuff has me hyped. And yeah, it's just a fun time.
Did we know that they were going to do the whole regional evolution thing?
No, it's one of those. Or the regional evolutions. No, because they haven't done that since. Besides Sylveon and Evolution for Gen 6, they haven't done these since Gen 4.
Wait, Sun and Moon had all the.
Oh wait, evolutions. No, variants or what
yeah,
you're thinking.
that's what I was talking about. I'm sorry.
You said evolution, so yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Cross-gen evolution is something that hasn't really been done since 4, which is what happened with Zigzagoon, which is.
Gotcha.
Adding those together just makes it a whole lot. It's really good because they kind of don't do that as much anymore because they like to keep consistency, so they don't have to. Because it can be weird. Let's say I'll use Trico or something. Let's say I'll use Gex final form. Let's say if they suddenly made it evolve by like a level or something, it'd be weird that it couldn't do in the past games. Technically, it doesn't matter, but Game Freak likes that consistency.
No, so
they got to come back with items and areas and stuff that causes the evolutions and explain why they didn't evolve in past things. I kind of like the consistency, but it's kind of a headache. But with these, they can take away that, give Pokemon new forms anyway, and then make them go farther with the evolutions, which is cool.
Yeah.
Because Obstagoon would not work if they'd evolved from regular Linoon.
Yeah.
So that is exciting and fun, and I'm excited to talk about Pokemon more in the future. It's crazy the difference between my excitement for this and Let's Go a year ago.
I mean, I told you back then that your Pokemon was coming next year.
What's funny is a lot of people are hating on this game.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on, this comes from Steven Totilo from Kotaku. Workers at Rockstar Lincoln, the British studio that does the lion's share of testing for Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption games, are being converted from contractors to full-time employees. These sources familiar with the studio have told Kotaku. The move will remove the uncertainty of working on temporary contracts, a positive turn at a company with notoriously arduous working conditions. The changes were set to go into effect on August 1st, according to 2 sources. It's unclear how many people this affects, nor whether it extends to temporary workers at other Rockstar studios. We hope to get more details from Rockstar itself, but a company rep declined to comment.
Another one of those hard to be cynical about.
Yeah,
it's good, and it's good to see.
Well,
I mean,
the cynical view of this is, well, of course, because they're done with the game.
Yeah.
But it still continues updates and all that. But yeah.
There was stuff with the Rockstar Lincoln that Jason Schreier had like talked to them, and they said that conditions had been improved a ton.
Yeah.
That was kind of Rockstar as a whole. But,
yeah. So that's good to see. Yeah. Hopefully it's not them just kind of reacting to do, we'll just be this way for a little bit.
Just to get the headlines, yeah.
Yeah, or it's just because they're just doing updates for Red Dead and that is just, no, they're actually going to be changed.
Yeah. Because
the thing you were talking about is, and I think is where people mainly brought up the whole Red Dead Sun thing, is the crunch thing and like going in overtime on weekends and stuff, that isn't a thing. Like our employee only has done that once since like Red Dead came out, and it was completely voluntary. Like actually voluntary, not just voluntary in name.
It's voluntary, quote unquote. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I like super don't want to do the thing where it's like, oh, we got one good headline where people said they were happy, so everything's fixed. We fixed crunch and fixed video game. It's like, no, I don't want to do that. But I also do think we're kind of responsible for, like, if we talk about all the bad things, I like seeing stories. Like, we need to talk about the, like, baby steps that we're getting better, and the times that things.
Yeah, and it's one of those things we were talking about those stories earlier. A little different with that big game store and all that kind of stuff. Talking about these bad things, they can lead to change if we make a big enough fuss. Yeah, but I know this is a little different.
I mean, you gotta, with all these big companies, you have to hold their feet to the fire because without any sort of like public pressure or regulation, they will not do the best thing, and it's just kind of business. It's kind of a flaw in capitalism, but it's just how it works. Like you gotta be the watchdogs and keep an eye on it. Yep. So that's why we need Jason Schreier in this industry, basically.
Yep. Okay. Moving on, let's talk about some Gamescom, Darby. Which is
the next big thing.
Yeah, Jeff Keighley will be hosting a live showcase before Gamescom on August 9th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That's a week away, Darby. Over 15 publishers will make world premieres at the showcase. Darby, we're going to do something fun, potentially, for this. We can kind of skip or be like, I don't know. I just thought of this. It could be fun. When I name a thing, we say what we think it could potentially, they're now thinking potentially be.
Well, we'll see if we can come up
there'll be some of these where we're like, I don't know, move on.
Right.
Or just, yeah.
2K. We'll see how it goes, yeah. FIFA.
Wrong company.
I know.
Basketball.
I don't know. Isn't the only interesting thing it could be is BioShock?
Maybe.
That's the only thing I could think of, but like I don't actually think it's gonna be.
Wait, I'm having a brain fart.
Interesting.
Wait,
I think they're owned.
Would Borderlands be under that umbrella?
Yes.
I don't know why we're having trouble thinking about that. Yeah, probably that then.
Probably that. Yeah, that's
Activision.
Could be
COD.
Yes, probably COD. Yeah,
okay.
It's almost certainly.
Bandai Namco Entertainment. These don't have to be new games. Some of them will be.
Tales of Arise.
Please. Yeah, I'm trying to think what things could be. Probably something obvious. Like,
Code Vein. Is it out yet? Is it out?
I think it might be out. Whatever it is dead.
Yeah.
Keighley has standards.
I wonder if Tales of Arise could be at something like this, or is this going to be kind of?
I think it could.
Yeah.
I
mean, maybe they'll try to.
I feel like because especially since it premiered at E3, they're going to push more in the West because I saw more excitement for this than any initial Tales announcement ever. It may not lead to bigger increase in sales, but at least there's interest there.
They're trying. I mean, you see Yakuza trying to go more from the West. Persona obviously trying to go more to the West. So and they're obviously like changing this Tales a lot and putting a lot more effort into it and like making it more visually appealing for Western gamers. Mm-hmm. So like I think it would be safe to assume that they're going to try to push more and like they're going to try to make this like a turning point for the Tales franchise where like, oh, this is when it started. Like,
I'm trying to think there's any other games that are already announced that it could be.
Bandai's a big company, so
that's the thing.
A lot of things,
but it marks all their fighting games, which is something that we're obviously known for, are marked out because they just had EVO announcements. Mm-hmm. So, I'll cross my fingers for Tales of Arise.
Yeah, that's what I would hope for. Marvel versus Capcom. It's not that.
Yeah. Bungie. Well, I wonder what that could be.
Yeah.
Okay. Capcom. Marvel versus Capcom.
Marvel versus Capcom.
I'm trying to think.
I don't know.
What Monster Hunter World?
Oh yeah, Iceborne.
Probably. Unless
they've shown a lot of Iceborne.
There's that. But final big push is like right before it comes out.
Yeah.
But while they already said Iceborne is going to be it pretty much for this year, they still have nothing for next year.
No.
So.
Wait, you're talking about for Monster Hunter World?
I'm talking about from Capcom mostly in general. They don't really have much of any. They don't really have much of anything past that.
Yeah, I mean, Capcom kind of straight up said like, "Yo, we kind of did all of our big things, so we're gonna be quiet for a while." I'm not expecting.
It's probably gonna be Monster Hunter World, which it's fine.
Obviously, the get hype is like Resident Evil 3 remake or something like that. It's too early. Way too early. It's way too early for that. Way too early.
They're not. They need to wait for the Resident Evil 4 or 2 sales to die down.
Yeah.
EA. I don't know, FIFA or something.
Star Wars.
Star Wars done.
Yeah. Jedi Fallen Order.
Maybe an Apex thing.
Will be coming out in like 2 months after. So
yeah, Star Wars. Yeah. Epic Games. Fortnite related.
Yeah,
Rocket League.
Some big Fortnite. It could be Rocket League now. Yeah,
that's something.
A Fortnite Rocket League crossover that's probably already happened a bunch of times. I don't know.
Google Stadia, which I'll go ahead and say now, Google will have a Stadia Connect an hour before Keighley's showcase. It's probably going to be just kind of reiterating some Google Stadia stuff.
Yeah, but I could see them having some. Connect. Here are some new games or maybe and stuff.
Or I'm going to say this: let's say Stadia, the Connect announces a new game. Keighley's thing has a more extended look at it.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if they announce exclusives or if it'll all be Baldur's Gate type stuff.
I feel like they need to because they announced that one exclusive, which is apparently not actually an exclusive. That Tequila Worst game, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Is a little spooky one coming to other PC platforms.
I saw something about like that too. Maybe even something about it coming to consoles. So
not at all.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like they need something just because of they need some reason for people to at least try Stadia.
Yeah.
Right now, they don't have nothing other than just the concept of it. Deep Silver. Deep Silver has like a million things. I don't know, man. Saints Row 5.
They did Metro, didn't they? Or is that something
else? Yeah. I don't know.
Bad game.
Yeah, I don't know. Private Division. I can't remember who this.
I don't remember this.
I feel
Next.
dumb. Sega, which is confirmed to have, I think, a new AAA game. I know it's a new game. I think I remember reading it. Also, AAA was attached to it. The Sonic count as AAA.
Probably they probably count that, and that's why I think there's
Sonic. Wait. I'm just gonna say Sonic Forces is not a AAA game.
Sega would probably like to consider it.
I think it was a $40 game, so it's not AAA.
I don't know.
But I don't think it's gonna be that. They had a Sonic thing recently where I think they would have actually announced it.
Yeah. With Sega, I think there's only like a 20% chance this is something that's interesting to me, but we'll see. They have a lot of franchises. Most of them are kind of dead. But
yeah, I'm trying to. It could just be a brand new IP or something.
It's not going to be like a Persona related thing. So.
No, it's definitely not going to be Persona related.
So what else do they have?
I'm trying to think. Yakuza. The thing was
they just had Judgment.
No, there's that. And the only thing is that I can't see them announcing like a Yakuza or Persona related thing, even taking away like how recent those things were in general, or that's the teams in general at a non-Japanese event.
No. It's going to be a freaking Sonic game.
Yeah.
And a bad one. Probably. Sonic Mania is going to be like the only good Sonic game. In
the higher the budget of Sonic, the worse it is.
Yes.
Prove me wrong. Okay. Square Enix, Final Fantasy VII and Avengers.
oh shit! We're probably gonna see more Final Fantasy VII.
Oh yeah.
Just
also, something I will throw out. They said Avengers will be playable at Gamescom. Okay. Actually playable. So we already knew we were gonna get to see the footage at least. So
not on a cell phone this time. I guess.
Yes. So that's exciting, and just more Final Fantasy stuff in general will be fun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Those are the two Square Enix things.
I want to see more.
I think that I will be shocked if both of them are not there.
I want to see Red 13. I want to see the wall marker there, Shinra Mansion. Those are like the three big things we have not seen. I want to see them.
I want to see Thunderhead.
I want to see the big house that sprouts arms and attacks you, because I want to see that in HD graphics.
There, yes, they some stuff for the actual game.
I know.
Okay. Sony will be there. Also, I was going to point it out. Hideo Kojima will also be there for sure, showing off Death Stranding. The questionable thing is, does Death Stranding count as Sony? Yeah. Because I'll just go ahead and say this. Darby and I talked about this a little bit before, when we were eating dinner. Recently on the Sony, I think Australian website, Death Stranding was removed from the Sony exclusive page. It was there before. It's not there now. There's been talk about Death Stranding coming to PC since it was announced. They announced it but then that died down. It sounds like that's coming up again. So yeah.
So me and Jeff are both thinking that there is a very decent chance of seeing The Last of Us here.
Yeah, baby.
And if we see The Last of Us here, pretty decent chance of getting release date February one.
If Last of Us is here, as long as I believe that February thing is true. That was the thing they were planning on. As long as I didn't get pushed back again, we're getting that release date here if it's shown.
Yeah, it's surprising because it's just been like they've been so spread out, so it doesn't feel like it. But we've had like. Has it been 2 or 3 story trailers and a gameplay trailer of The Last of Us? So we've actually seen quite a few different things. We still don't know a ton about the story and everything, but
Have we seen it? Yeah, have we seen it 3 or 4 times? I can only remember 3.
It might have only been 3. So
the debut thing, the one where there was controversy about being too violent, and then the E3 thing last year.
Yeah, I guess it was. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah. So I wonder if it would be a story thing or a gameplay thing or both. I think I'd wonder would.
Probably both.
Like a little cut in between and like
cut in between and all that, because the gameplay thing was cool, but may seem more. Part of me hopes they keep the whole thing what's going on with Joel secret.
I want them to keep a lot secret. Like
I honestly, I wish in a perfect world they would just tell us the release date and that's it.
Like I said at dinner, and like my perfect world would be I don't see a single other thing about this game until it comes out.
Literally just a page.
Last of Us Part 2. February. Whatever.
Maybe a cool artwork with Eliana since we know she's in it
and she's singing or something. Like there's some song and they're big enough to do that. They're big enough to like Beyonce this shit. Don't tell me anything about it. Yeah, I don't know. That would be perfect, but they're probably not. I'm just saying, most of the Last of Us Part 2 marketing has been, here is just the scene, pretty much. Here is just
with absolutely no context. You have no idea what's going on or who.
And I would rather them keep doing that, but I feel like they're probably, the later we get in here, the closer we're probably just gonna get like normal trailers where they cut between a bunch of different things and like show you stuff, But I kind of hope that we see another just out of context scene.
So we thinking that Last of Us is very likely if the Sony thing is not different.
If it's separate, I can't see.
Watch it be freaking medieval.
Yeah, I don't see like Ghost of Tsushima. It just seems like that's for some reason too far away.
No, I'm just based on what we know. Again, I completely believe that whole internal thing being in February, because too many people that we know can have this knowledge have said that.
Ghost of Ashley Tsushima, Johnson almost said, huh? And Ashley Johnson started to say it.
Yeah. So, Ghost of Tsushima is definitely after the last one at least, which is surprising to me, despite it being announced the last out of these.
But take your time.
Yeah, take your time. THQ Nordic, Destroy All Humans, sure.
Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Yeah, those two. Let's go. Ubisoft, Watch Dogs,
Legion,
Ghost Recon.
Yeah, those two.
Yeah. Some other Ubisoft things. Maybe that Gods and Monsters thing. Show something off from that.
Let's actually see that. Like, because you can't just not show anything about the game and then say, oh, it's inspired by Breath of the Wild. I'm like, all right, well, you motherfuckers better show that. You can't just say, you can't mention Breath of the Wild and just expect me to take you at face value. I better see that.
It's coming out in February.
I know. Me and Will were so mad about that at E3. We were like, this game is close enough to where you should have something to show. So why the hell aren't you showing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's annoying.
And Xbox is the final one. This could be
anything.
Well, here's the thing. Outer Worlds would count as that. And I think that's the most likely thing.
Yeah, probably.
The Dream. Psychonauts. I think that's possible.
It is possible. Definitely possible.
So
we need to move on.
Yeah. And let's see. Yeah. Says over 15 other people could be there. My thought went to CD Projekt Red, but I feel like they would have name dropped them.
Yeah, they would definitely be among this list. So if they're putting all those other ones.
Yep. So okay. Moving on. This comes from Adabang. Here's from IGN. Tyler Ninja Blevins. We're talking about Ninja, Darby.
Ninja.
One of Twitch's most popular streamers, not anymore, and one of the biggest names in Fortnite has announced that he will be leaving Twitch and will be exclusively streaming on Mixer going forward. Ninja revealed the news in a video that was a mock press conference of himself dressed as different people asking him questions about this big move. Perhaps most importantly, he was also asked a question by a case of Red Bull. Very important, Darby.
That is very important.
Very important is this news. Mixer is owned by Microsoft, and back in 2009, Ninja began his professional gaming career by playing Halo 3. With Halo Infinite launching alongside the next generation Xbox, currently known as Project Scarlet, the potential evolution of this partnership between Mixer and Ninja could be an interesting one.
Is Mixer the new Epic Game Store?
I'm surprised people haven't brought that up.
I'm sure people have brought that up.
Yeah. I think more people have probably brought it up mockingly to people upset about Epic Games.
Like I just did.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably a lot more of that because he really cares. But I know some people aren't happy with Twitch and various things, so it's one of those things where competition is definitely good. It's one of those things people jump from YouTube to Twitch, and now we're potentially seeing a Twitch to Mixer thing. Yeah. So we usually don't talk about this big streamers news.
No, it's just not our beat.
But because this is the biggest streamer, and streaming is let's face it, a big part of video games at this point. It's just the way it is. This is a big move by Microsoft, and there's also another big thing. Mixer is owned by Microsoft, so that's a big thing that they're gonna really be pushing into that, because apparently they paid. I saw numbers between like $30 to $50 million for Ninja.
I thought it was like a $3 to $25 million contract, but I mean that's just what I heard someone say, so I'm not 100% sure. I probably should have checked on that, but. Either way, I saw
different things for different people. Point is, multi-million.
A lot of money, a lot of money, and to the point where, like we said a bunch of times, this is a win-win for him, because like if this doesn't work out, he can just come back to Twitch in 3 years, and it'll be a huge deal that he's coming back to Twitch, and he's gonna make a shit ton of money. And I think this is obviously going to just be the first. Like we're gonna in the next few months just hear more and more of like. Dr. Disrespect's going to Mixer. This guy's going to be, we're going to hear a lot more.
I have seen stuff about Microsoft is talking to more streamers, which makes sense because you want more than just one guy.
Yeah. And I think, again, like you said, competition is always good. You saw when YouTube has no competition, the platform just gets more and more problems. They're not solved because why would people care?
Take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, because I honestly know not much about Mixer, but I have seen people say stuff like it's to make a difference in the Epic Games Store, thing that Darby jokingly said. Is apparently Mixer's actually good and competent and has a bunch of the features that you would expect out of it. So. And it's been around a while, so it's not like it's a brand new thing. But so it's prepared to have people move in and people be happy and have all the things they.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that they would do this move without being.
Yeah.
I should probably go on. I literally don't even know what the.
We gotta make a Mixer thing, Darby. Mixer account.
We're gonna be Mixer. We're excited to announce.
Honestly, maybe we should just to get our name.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we probably should. We already had to get Nerds at Large Gaming on Twitch, but there's less people on Mixer, so we might be able to just get Nerds at Large.
So yes. If you're listening, people, do not steal.
Yeah, no.
Make sure you get it right now. Okay, so yeah, I think this could potentially be a big thing. Mixer could be big. Twitch could decline. I mean, it's still going to be around. I don't think we'll have to worry about that.
It's too big, but again, it could be. Twitch might have to start fixing some things to.
But something in that last paragraph, I kind of forgot until people brought it up. That Ninja started with Halo.
Yeah.
So with this,
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
Anyway.
With this deal, I think Microsoft's trying to set up Ninja going off to help them market Halo Infinite, which would be big.
100% they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that could get a bunch of kids who weren't even born when Halo came out or whatever the hell.
Yeah. No, so I think that will be a big thing. I mean, you probably won't be marketing the next Xbox. That probably won't be it, but you'll be marketing that big game, and Twitch will be like, oh, I can get this Xbox or whatever. It has all the other games I want.
I can totally see that being part of the contract. Like, you're also going to.
I'm also sure he's like, okay.
Sure.
I'm sure he still likes Halo and all that, so.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like a win-win for him. And yeah, I've seen surprisingly little hate about this. Not that we don't really follow any Ninja fans because they definitely skew a lot younger than us, but here's what it is.
Well, going to your thing about them being much younger, I doubt too many of them care what exactly they're watching it on, as long as they're watching the guy he likes. Yeah. And they were doing a thing where you can sub to Ninja for free for the first little bit a month.
Yeah. Which is
I mean, that's smart just to get people in.
Oh yeah, and then they can see oh, look at all this cool stuff, Yeah.
So I think from Ninja's and Microsoft's standpoint, for the business side, this is all smart, and it'll be interesting to see how this all unfolds.
I agree.
Darby, let's get sad and mad.
Time to end off sad and mad again. Told you it's the sad and mad cast.
We should have started with the other mad thing.
We were left.
Well, we were pretty mad about Fire Emblem.
So bad.
Yeah. You didn't like my waifu, Darby. I'm furious.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
I don't even know who my waifu is, man. It's frustrating. Okay, yeah. Gotta give it 3 years, so let's get into it. This comes from Nicole Carpenter from Vice. Walmart stores are reportedly removing signings and displays representing violence, including signage and playable demos for video games, following recent shootings at 2 of its stores. On July 30th, a gunman shot 2 Walmart employees and injured a police officer at a Walmart in South Haven, Mississippi. The following Saturday, on August 3rd, a 21-year-old man killed 22 people and wounded 24 others at a Walmart in El Paso, Texas. Days after the shooting, President Trump blamed in part gruesome and grisly video games, as well as mental health issues, for mass shootings in America, despite evidence that suggests otherwise. This week, Walmart sent employees a notice titled "Immediate Action: Remove Signage and Displays Representing Violence." Freelance writer Kenneth Shepard posted an image of the notice on Twitter, and other copies have circulated on Reddit. Quote, "Review your store for any signage or displays that contain violent images or aggressive behavior," the notice reads. "Remove from the sales floor or turn off these items immediately." It's unclear how widely the notice was circulated. The notice instructs workers to remove demos of violent games, specifically PlayStation and Xbox units, events for combat style or third-person shooter games scheduled in the electronics department, movies depicting violence, and hunting season videos playing in the sporting goods section. It also noted that merchandisers from Anderson Merchandisers, a service provider for Walmart, will send out representatives to update display consoles and demo units within the next week. Vice was able to independently confirm that Walmart's asking employees to remove signage representing violence. Also, we'll add, it was in this article, but I kind of didn't add in that part. They're not doing anything to the sales of guns.
Right.
And I'll just go ahead and say this so we do the whole thing. This next thing comes from Matt Kim from IGN. ESPN has decided to delay a planned broadcast of an Apex Legends esports tournament following this month's mass shootings in El Paso and Dayton. ESPN originally planned to broadcast a taped Apex Legends competition across various Disney-owned channels, including supposed to be ABC, ESPN2, and ESPN News. Those plans have seemingly changed following 2 mass shootings that occurred last weekend, 13 hours apart. Apex Legends is Respawn Entertainment's free-to-play battle royale first-person shooter. The decision was made out of respect for the victims, all those impacted by the recent shootings. Forgot to put on there, they're going to actually show it in October.
Yeah, in October, but it's
already filmed, so it's late.
So it's gonna be like 2 months late.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong in doing this, but I think I can speak for both of us when I say that this entire thing is just it's very painfully obviously a distraction that our president and many politicians are making, because so many of them get paid millions and millions of dollars by the NRA. You can go look up exactly which politicians do, and I would recommend you to.
Yeah.
And for some reason, we're supposed to take all of their opinions on gun-related issues at face value when shootings happen at a proportion that is so astronomically bigger than any other country. And these people who are paid by the NRA are the ones that are just pointing blame at anything and everything but firearms.
Yeah.
And for some reason, we're supposed to take them at face value. It's a complete distraction.
Sounds logical to me.
It's idiotic. And giving into this and taking down esports things, taking down stuff in your store and everything, that just shows that our president has power, even when he says stupid things like this. And when these idiotic arguments are made, but they make enough headlines and enough people believe it that companies are scared away, and it's the wrong thing to do. Am I?
You're right. So dumb.
And
sad.
I mean, it's so easy to tear down. Like, it's video games are like huge everywhere and growing everywhere.
I mean, the only thing you really need to show that kind of just tears down this argument is, and a lot of arguments against, gun regulation, honestly, is the fact that we have, like you said, so many more shootings than any other country. Like, this made the rounds of the amount of mass shootings that each countries have had this year. Most had 0. A couple had 1. I think Mexico had 2. We had over 200.
Yep.
More than 1 a day. And let's face it, at this point in time, there aren't too many differences between a lot of countries, except for one little thing called, I guess, the Second Amendment.
Yes.
Yes. So when you name video games, you're pretty much kind of making the argument we're the only country with video games, or or I guess we're a country that glorifies violence, but we're not going to discuss that part.
No, Jeff, the problem is they're not making that argument. Because, there is no argument.
Yeah.
And they know there is no argument.
No, but people.
This is just. They've for some reason, and they've kind of done it for the last 20 years, I thought, we hoped this was some argument that we had gotten out of, but the violence in video games or something, it's just something that they very lazily latch onto. They know there's no argument there, but it doesn't matter, because all they have to do is spout it out for a few weeks. A bunch of everyone sees the president of the United States saying this, so they freak out, and companies like Walmart get scared. And it doesn't matter if there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just something to say to get through the 2 weeks until we all stop talking about these shootings again. And then next week there'll be another one.
Yeah, because we're becoming numb to this, and it's unfortunate that I don't have as much of a visceral reaction to hearing this stuff.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah.
I feel terrible about, I'm at work and I hear someone says something about the El Paso shooting, and I know it's sad and I am saddened by it, but I just kind of keep going on with my day, and I kind of forgot about it a few hours later, and I hate that. I absolutely hate that. it's become so normal that I'm just so used to just every week it's like, oh, here's another one. I can't even keep track. Like, where have all these shootings happened now? Like, I vaguely remember that one, but where was it? How many people died in this one? How many people died in that one? It's fucked up.
Yep.
And it's like everyone knows what's causing this. Like, there, and regardless of where you stand on, there's certain things like there's no reason for anyone in this country to own an assault rifle, so like or a semi-automatic automatic weapon that's designed to kill the most people in the shortest amount of time.
Yep.
And just in general, the fact that mass shootings happen, like someone kills 22 people, and the response is Walmart's response to it is to take down ads for Call of Duty rather than
do anything about guns
with actual guns.
Yeah.
Like, they're more worried about fictional guns on the computer screen than they are actual firearms.
Oh, Darby, they can't do that because their gun sales probably went up. Because that happens every single time there's a mass shooting. People buy more guns because they're worried that finally, I guess, that the government will take their guns away.
It's ass backwards, and it pisses me off.
The NRA has too much power.
Oh, so much. And like, I mean, seriously, look up all the politicians that get paid from it. Like, it's a list that we all should remember and that we all should know. And anytime one of those people speaks out about this, you can't. It's so corrupt. You can't trust the drain the swamp. You can't trust the word, and it's just it's frustrating. I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure video games are going to be fine. Video games are going to like survive through this. It's not like this is the end of the world, but it does kind of show a disconnect because you don't really see people talking about violent action movies. It's like just as much. It's like most of the big movies every year are movies that involve violence and guns and action.
Hobbs and Shaw is the big thing right now.
Yeah, exactly. And like that is no worse than video game violence. You don't see anyone talking about that, even though video games, arguably, I think they make more money than the film industry. I mean, it's like just as big of an industry, but this kind of shows you the people in power are so disconnected, and so like it's just a bunch of older people, like baby boomer generation and older, that just don't know about how the world works, and they'll target this industry and they know nothing about and just act like they know about it.
Yep. And
they target it because it's easy to target instead of targeting the things that they know. It's frustrating.
Yep.
I told you it was just mad. I don't have any, like, there's really nothing more to say. But it's, I mean, Walmart taking the like displays down and ESPN canceling delaying the Apex thing. Like, they're probably going to put these things back on later. So it's just, what are you going to do this every single time there's a shooting? Because if so, you're going to be doing this a lot. Like, where does this lead? What do we do?
Gotta do something.
And when do we start actually doing things that matter instead of just blaming things that are irrelevant?
When the NRA gets bankrupt.
And I mean, there is a conversation about just how we glorify violence. It's something that's ingrained in our culture. I mean, it's video games, it's movies, it's books, it's everything. I mean, it is a thing. I mean, the games we gravitate to, the movies we gravitate to are all about kicking ass and and doing stuff like that. Like, it's something, that is a thing. But to just say, oh, we need to ban these video games and then we're going to see less murders is just ludicrous.
Something the thing did bring up that we should also talk about, mental illness being a thing that's obviously a problem, but also that's one of those things where we were talking about deflecting to everything. People just pick sometimes when they don't want to talk about guns, pick mental illness in particular, like, oh, that is the sole reason. It's like, no. And then also it's kind of like the way people say it, because some of these people are mentally ill. It's kind of like, no, not every single person that does a shooting is mentally ill. Sometimes they're just bad people. And then also, it's like not every mentally ill person is going to.
Well, and my biggest thing is every time that argument comes up, it's like, no, we need to be dealing with mental illness. I was like, you're right. We also, you're right. We need to do that, and we also need to deal with the guns.
Yeah,
both are things that we need to do.
Yep. There's two reactions to like you said. It's like we can care about both things. Both things can be a problem that are separate that we can deal with, and yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing you were about to go to is no one ever
says how. They just say, we need to deal with mental illness.
They never go to the next step. They say that for, again, a week until we stop talking about it, and then we can go on to talking about it.
We as a country also shame people that have depression a lot of the times.
Yeah.
So, which is mental illness. It's not always as pronounced as what we, when we say mental illness, what we may think of, but that is mental illness. And we shame people for when they say, like, when there are a lot of people, especially maybe some older generation, when you say you go to therapy, think something's wrong with you or what's wrong with you, or maybe we're men, say like that's not a very manly thing, or if we talk about our feelings and all that, it's like
it's something that's just like ingrained in so many people's heads, and they're just never going to change with that, fortunately. And I don't know, a lot of it needs to get better, and just like doing some shot in the dark, blaming some industry that you clearly know nothing about is not the answer.
Yeah.
And it's just so abundantly clear that they don't have the first idea about video games.
I think they partly brought
entire industry.
I think they partly, obviously there's been a lot of shootings, and video games haven't been brought up a lot of the times when this happened. For whatever reason, this time they pointed to it. I think it's partly because we had two giant ones back to back. So they couldn't do the whole deflect and kind of go away, then do another one. They had to react quickly to, move the post.
Sucks that you have to have the two shootings really close together to even talk about it at this point. One's not enough to get anything happening. This is something that should just be, and I'm sorry, I know we're just getting super political. The podcast is almost over. You can tune out if you want. Like, we're pretty much done talking about video games.
Yeah.
But this should be one of the biggest issues in this election, but it probably won't be. I mean, this is something that's happening so often, and when I go to Walmart, I go to some random place, it's always in the back of my mind that could happen.
Yeah.
That someone could walk in here with a gun and start mowing me and everyone else down. It's messed up. When we go to the movie theater, and then we're in a packed movie theater for like Avengers, it's in my mind somewhere. Yeah. And that should terrify everyone, regardless of your political ideology. That should terrify you.
You know what's terrifying is I can't remember where it was. There was a story of the other day about a man going into Walmart with a tactical vest and then an assault rifle or whatever in there, grabbing a shopping cart and going through the mall, and then naturally everyone freaked out because there's a guy there with a gun and a vest on just there
walking.
And then someone pulled the fire alarm, everyone went out, he went out, and then the police stopped him or whatever and all that. He was there to test if Walmart cared and followed the Second Amendment. And you know what the thing is? What he did was perfectly legal, because it's perfectly legal in some places. It might have been Missouri where this happened. I can't remember. That you can just walk around Target or Walmart with an assault rifle just hanging around, and you don't expect people to freak out. If I see anyone have that in a store, I'm walking out of there.
Oh, 100%. I'm immediately putting as much.
Everyone's a good guy with a gun until they're not.
Oh, and then there's a lot of people like I was. We're in personal story time now, but I went skeet shooting one time with my dad and a bunch of other people. Kind of realized it's not my thing, but I did it once to just try it. And there's a guy that was just check out this assault rifle thing I have, and it's fired it, and it's this terrifying. It's a military weapon, and I'm like, what? You can't tell me a reason why some random civilian should have that. And if something happened in the middle of that Walmart and this random civilian thinks he needs to use this gun, I don't want some random person who doesn't have training to be using this weapon that could kill many people. Even if you're using it in self-defense. It's just
There's no good
It
argument.
doesn't make me feel safer. It makes me feel
There
so
is no
much
good
worse.
argument against any, gun regulation.
Well, and then there people say, well, they could still get it from the black market and everything. It's like, okay, that's a lot harder to do than to just order it
Those
online
people
or do
get caught.
everything.
These guys can walk into Walmart and get it in a
Let's
day.
at least
There are people
Billy,
that can
who
go
lives in his
into-
parents' basement, probably doesn't have access to black market guns. I mean,
Yeah. You got to go through with that. There are people that can go to Walmart at 2 p.m., grab a gun, and then do a shooting at 3 p.m. within the hour.
I mean, there's I think at Walmart and a lot of other places, I think it depends on state by state, but there's a lot of places where you there's at least some waiting period or a piss poor background check, but there is some background check. But then there's gun shows where there is none. You can just go to a gun show and just get a gun and walk home with it. It's there's no regulation. There's no rhyme or reason. It's and there's also absolutely no reason you couldn't, if you needed a gun, you couldn't be on a month-long waiting period or something, or at least a 2-week waiting period. There's no good reason for you to I need this gun and I need it now. There's no good reason.
There's no argument to have no gun regulation whatsoever.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. We'll end the podcast. I know we're just devolving into political stuff, but I'm just the last 2 weeks I've just been kind of had a little bit of just underlying anxiety and just, I don't know, frustration. I'm just kind of getting at my wits end about all of this. And I think we all kind of are. So thank you for watching.
Then on a
Nerds
happy
Alive
note
Gaming
for some
Podcast.
stuff that may be coming up in the future and may not right away, but stuff to look forward to. Our fragrant guest Jacob Hamill is getting a Nintendo Switch.
Hey, we got him.
Therefore, he'll be playing Nintendo games.
Got him.
Specifically, he's getting it for Astral Chain.
Yeah.
I'm getting Astral Chain. We will talk about that.
Yeah. Look forward to that. That'll be cool.
Yeah.
Be cool. See, I'll talk about the animes.
Anime.
Yeah, go watch me, Jacob, and Will talk about Suicide Squad. How trash of a movie it was because me and Jacob lost the bet, the E3 bet. That was a lot of fun. And yeah, hopefully we start doing some other stuff. I'm sorry about that we've kind of been less frequent with content. We've just been busy.
We need to finish that Nuzlocke before the new one starts.
We need to start doing more of that. But I have some ideas for some things that I don't want to say until I know we can do them. But
you tell me.
Go into it. Yeah, I will. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.